Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now today, once again, courtesy to Ankit with help of Evizone. Of course, Evizone is amazing messaging service that is also the best way for you to contact me, reach out and submit your own video gameplay showcases. Just tap in the link in the video description. It's going to take you to this page. Try it out for free, enter your username, email account's going to be made for you, and you will be put in contact with me. And you can reach out if there is a rank 4, rank 3, 6-star gameplay showcase that you want to submit to the channel. We can chat about that. Back to it. Ankit has been enjoying Massacre quite a lot recently, and I have been loving Massacre as well. Now I have yet to take mine to rank 3, mine's at rank 2 at the moment, but I know Fintech from my alliance has been absolutely loving Massacre in Battlegrounds as well. And when I was messing around in Battlegrounds with kind of like my C tier deck, where I used only 5 stars and kind of like not completely ranked up 6 stars, I definitely was doing some solid work with Massacre as well. He's actually one of the most solid Battleground attackers for a multitude of reasons. One of them being is that there is virtually no one really immune to his damage, because even if opponents are incinerate immune, they take a burst of damage when they would be incinerated. And the second coolest thing is he can do a ton of damage through block, and that has kind of like a similar effect to Quake, because whilst you do not hit opponent directly, many of their abilities just do not work. And thanks to that, Massacre can deal with pennies, for instance, extremely well. You can use Massacre against a ton of different champions with great results. And obviously his damage output is also quite crazy, as we can see here. You can stack up a ton of incinerates, ton of bleeds, and if you do drop your level 2 in the block, then that is going to hit extremely hard. Now here's going to be a showcase of going up against a champion that is incinerate immune. Ghost Rider was not incinerate immune initially, but now he is. So now they have finally fixed that injustice in the world. But let's check out how Massacre is going to get along with that. So, as we can see, Massacre also gains power through block, which is extremely useful. But here we are, every single hit that would cause an incinerate trigger was dealing about 2,600 damage extra, and that's like a guaranteed amount of damage, which is quite a lot. And now at this point, I'm going to be able to see that even without incinerates, dropping level 2 in block does around 80,000 damage. If you have incinerates applied to your opponent, that level 2 can do even more damage, because as we know, incinerates do reduce opponent's block proficiency even further for every stack that you apply on them. And therefore, yes, Massacre is capable of doing a lot of damage virtually to all of the champions, even if they are incinerate immune. And that is, in my opinion, a hallmark of a great piece of utility. Because often, you know, champions are very dependent whether opponents have specific immunities. For instance, I don't know, Diablo, if opponents are poison immune, is not going to be able to deliver his damage, and I don't want to single out Diablo. It's just many champions like that. And then there are more kind of like generic obstacles. For instance, if you're unable to freely gain a ton of buffs, or if you're unable to freely debuff opponent, you might struggle inflicting damage on your opponent. But Massacre is one of those champions that kind of always has an avenue for damage, be that through block, be that through incinerates, be that through bleeds. All of it counts, or be that through burst damage when incinerates fail to apply. And now he's gonna again go in there and drop that level 2 in the block, and there's hardly anything left of that Ghost Rider. And there we are, and that is it. Right, let's move on to the next matchup, I think. Oh, not quite yet. But here again, Spider-Man 2099 can be quite an annoying opponent to go up against because of his resistances. He builds up huge amount of resistances, and with that he takes significantly less damage. Obviously, when you're using him as an attacker, it doesn't really help you all that much, because it doesn't kick in quickly enough. But when you are facing him as a defender in Quest, it can be quite frustrating at times. But again, a Massacre quite well bypasses all of that stuff. And here he is stacking up his incinerates. He has like 14 at this point. Sweet. Now they are probably going to drop there at some point, so he's going to have to restart stacking them up. But that's not a big deal. He just needs to bait out that level 2. And he's going to drop his level 1 here. Sure, no problem. Needs to get one more ignite charge, and now he can get back into his proper damage cycle. No Rapture Burst. That's quite interesting. No Rapture Burst because well, probably because of Disorient, quite possibly. But that's quite neat. And don't hit block when you have... Don't hit block when you have with it. That makes sense. Because then you will be reducing your own power. Okay, fair enough. Good advice there. So here, that little Spidey goes for his special. Not a problem. Again, just drop that level 1. Has 6 bleeds, 5 incinerates, disorient, and a debuff bonanza there on Spidey. And Spidey is about to get annihilated. There we go. More bleeds, more incinerates. Job is done. So the base idea about Massacre is that you can run Massacre with 2 different rotations. You can either be spamming your special ones, which will let you stack up as many incinerates as opponent's AI cooperates with you, basically. Then keep refreshing them and do your damage primarily with these damage over time debuffs in between incinerates, in between bleeds. Also will have Disorient on your opponent at all times, and you can see that here at 13 stacks it is like 3,400 per tick, which pretty much at all times. So it is a very persistent and reliable damage source. One of the coolest things about Massacre is also his reach on light attacks and that heavy attack. That heavy attack has insane reach. And here we are again, just refresh those 10 incinerates, 2,600 per tick, plus some of the bleed damage, more there, why not? So it's probably like 3,000 something per tick. It's very, very solid amount of damage there, for sure. And that is, you know, in essence, Massacre's level 1 rotation. You just want to get to your own level 1 as quickly as possible at any given time. Make sure your bat is ignited virtually all of the fight, and just spam your level 1. Refresh incinerates. Here we can see 15 incinerates, 16, 19 an opponent. Not bad. 19 incinerates, sticking for like 5,000 plus, you know, 1,000 fatigue bleeds. That's a lot of damage. And level 2 rotation is, again, just how it sounds. The trick about level 2 is obviously you do want to drop it in opponent's block. And with level 2 rotation, you always kind of often can focus on gaining power via hitting opponent's block as well. That can be kind of like very aggressive rotation as well, because you do not particularly care whether opponent is blocking or you're connecting hits at him. And that level 2 with a few incinerates active will reliably deal about 80 to 100,000 damage in opponent's block. And again, because of the way Massacre gains power, it's going to be very quick and easy to get there. And obviously, along that, you will still be getting some incinerate damage. You will not have your Disorient debuff active at all times, but that is, you know, small downside I suppose to pay. But you will be dealing bigger bursts of damage. And again, coolest thing about the level 2 rotation in general is the fact that many opponents' abilities will never trigger because you keep striking their block primarily. Now, I do think he's going to screw it up here a bit at the end, because I was taking some sneak peek and he pushed himself to level 3. It is something that happens at times, but not the worst thing. And here he finishes with an overkill level 2 in a block. I do genuinely believe that Massacre is extremely underrated champion. Now, I think everybody can remember this Magneto that was absolute pain in the ass with that increased power rate, and it's just always so frustrating to go up against this guy. And Massacre does get around power shield in several different ways as well, because you can deal damage over time effects to Magneto, and that bypasses power shield. And obviously then when you do get your special attack, that special in the block dealt an absolute ton of damage. And now here he drops his level 1. That increases the potency of bleeds as well, thanks to power shield, and that Magneto just absolutely drops as well. So Massacre is actually very good against opponents who do have increased combat power rates. And the reason for it is because you can still play aggressively just striking opponent's block, and that gives them significantly less power. So if opponent does have like 100% increased power rate, it's really not the biggest deal, as we can see here, because whenever, again, you hit their block, it just doesn't give them much power. And here he goes again, drops level 2, solid, you know, half of that health down and dusted there. Gonna bait out this level 1 and smack that yellow jacket up a bit, and here goes for another. And again, if you do have more stacks of Incinerate on your opponent, then that level 2 is gonna be hitting even harder, because Incinerates reduce opponent's block proficiency further, so does Disorient. And this is going to be one of the funniest fights I have seen in quite a while, because we all know what Sorcerer Supreme does when she has that regen buff active, right? Whenever you do have that regen icon active, Sorcerer Supreme regenerates virtually all of the block damage she takes. So check that out. But not to be dismayed. As long as she takes damage through block, she cannot regenerate all of it, and that means that he will be able to break through that block. Unfortunately, perfect blocks are a thing as well, so I do think it is going to take him slightly longer than he would like, or would have liked anyways. But I did find that movement of the health bar there quite comical. And we're going to see another one of the kind of unfortunate moments in that fight in just a second, where he drops the first hit, it does plenty of damage, second hit gets perfect blocked and deals no damage, because she does have increased chance of perfect block whilst in that armor phase. But now he gets to another level 2, and that is gonna do the job, and is gonna be quite a bit of an overkill as well. Right, let's get to the second part of this Massacre showcase. And this is Guillotine 2099. Again, just like I mentioned, due to the fact that you can do a ton of damage through block, Massacre can deal with, like, you know, a lot of annoying abilities. And in case of Guillotine, obviously you can still throw your heavies and disable that invisibility that way, but also the simple fact that you can just keep striking her block and you do not have to worry about her going invisible is definitely helpful. Unfortunately, 90% reduced crit chance can obviously mess with Massacre, because unless you are striking opponent's block, he only gains his ignite charges whenever you hit opponent's block. Sorry, whenever he crits. And if you can't crit, it is harder to get your bat ignited, but he gets that done. And here we can see that he's ready to go back to work. Unfortunately, he did not have any incinerates there, and that Guillotine does have quite potent armor buff, so he did not do quite as much damage as he would have done with, you know, his regular specials in a block. But at this point, he has like 10 incinerates, 9 incinerates, and that immediately will be able to deliver some more damage there. And obviously the incinerate damage in itself is a great way how to bypass those pesky crit resistance and armors on this node. A small mix-up here, but not the biggest of problems. Again, he just needs to get his bat ignited, and as soon as he does, he can start gaining power by hitting through block. And, well, Incinerates finished the job before he got to his level 2. Going up against Punisher, let's see how that works out for him. So this Punisher has Paradox Combo, Entropic Extinction, Quantum Immunity, and Safeguard. So increased debuff potency. Interesting. What's going to happen when you give increased debuff potency to somebody that already can easily deliver like 5,000 incinerate damage per tick? Should be quite good. So he's going to start off here with bleeds. Quite sweet. Nothing too bad so far, because he still only has like 4 paradox charges. But with every paradox charge he gains, his debuff damage is getting increased. And here we can see that Punisher is pretty much melting already. Now, that is some serious block damage there, without a doubt. And come on, show us that incinerate damage here. So he had 6 incinerates and 3 bleeds. He's going to add another 3 bleeds. And that Punisher is going to be absolutely dead. Now he has 9 paradox charges, and those debuffs will be doing insane amount of damage. Let's see how he does against Spider-Gwen. Now, against Spider-Gwen can be definitely very tricky opponent, but just as I mentioned already several times in this video, if you do strike Spider-Gwen's block, then she cannot evade, which is kind of a cool thing to know as well, and she will never evade. She will never evade when you throw that level 2 in her block as well. So he has lost his paradox charges here. So interesting about that. Okay, Polka Dot Power, Rage 2.5 and Backblast. Interesting. So obviously Polka Dot Power, again, doesn't really bother Massacre, because as soon as you do get your bat ignited, you're going to be inflicting ton of incinerates to your opponent. And thanks to that, you can gain power. Also, you will be able to gain power by striking opponent's block, without a doubt. So Massacre has quite convenient ways to bypass the Polka Dot Power there. So he goes in for a few heavy attacks. Here he... interesting. Why did he drop that level 2 again? I'm not entirely sure. He probably hoped that opponent is going to block that one. Fair enough. But let's just show what Massacre is capable. Some of my favorite fights with Massacre are the ones where I can spam my my heavy attacks, because Massacre does have 4 bat hits on his heavies, so you can stack up a ton of incinerates with your heavies primarily as well. It is worth noting that you can actually run Massacre with Liquid Courage Double Edge quite well also, and benefit from significantly increased incinerate damage, but in that case you just kind of forgo special attacks altogether. Now we have another Polka Dot Power fight against Mordo. And obviously Mordo is a champion that absolutely loves blocking. We all know that AI. So here he's going to be... Well, he pushed him to level 3. Fair enough. So he's going to have to take a bit of punishment here. But let's see how it works out for him. And here we go. That Mordo, conveniently loves again to sit in the corner and block, and obviously that dealt quite a bit of damage. Now to rush back to get that bat ignited, he drops level 1 while Mordo is stunned, because he cannot evade from special attacks. And yeah, that Mordo is about to be one dead bumpkin. Yeah, just drop that heavy attack, get some more incinerates, and Mordo is a bit of a toast. See what happens with this Moon Knight. Should be pretty much the same. So we do seem to have incinerate vulnerability on this lane, so obviously incinerates are dealing more damage than they normally would. And yeah, well, I think that much is pretty much evident right now. Now hopefully that Moon Knight does not do the typical thing and hold the power these days. Man, AI has been so horrible recently with not wanting to throw special attacks. Here he goes, level 2 in block again. It's such a cool thing that you can benefit from the fact that opponents gain significantly less power whilst you strike their block, that you are able to kind of overextend your damage combinations with that. Like, if it would be any other champion, you typically wouldn't want to throw that special 2 whilst the opponent had that much power, but since you were going for blocked hits, you knew you had the space. Energize and invade, obviously, no Massacre showcase, I think, would be complete if we do not show invade node. And this is that annoying variant, that the variant 8 that everybody was quite upset with. And yeah, I pretty much used Massacre in its entirety to finish off this entire path, because invade obviously does make it extremely annoying to deal with these guys. Alongside with the super increased power gain that they have. But check out that level 2. Check out that level 2 damage. That was quite sweet. Is this again the same one? Yeah, this is definitely invade. Look at that block damage Mordo drop. This is definitely increased power gain invade. And yeah, that Mordo is going to get to level 3 in a second as well, isn't he? But as he is not throwing it, he actually did manage to get in quite a bit of damage. Man, Mordo can be such a rat. Oh, here he had to drop his... here he had to drop his level 2, unfortunately, in order not to push himself 3 bars of power. Now he, again, is gonna oh! I think there was that node that helped slightly by reducing opponent's power. That's what happened, because he did push him to level 3. Either way, that's yet again another dead Mordo. And now we have an annoying Electro. Obviously, against Electro, there's not much you can do if you start the fight at 20% health, I would say. But... oh, right. In this variant, the Massacre and Deadpool champions do get a regeneration. So let's see. This is going to be a bit close, isn't it? This is going to be a bit close. He's dancing there on the edge. Can he or can he not? So he puts on Disorient, which should be helping him not to take that damage back from Electro on every hit. Only on every other hit, probably. I forgot how potent is the Disorient, but, you know, even if it mitigates part of the damage, it's certainly helpful. And I did the same thing. When I was streaming this variant, I did the exact same thing. Also, there is Massacre from Act 8 beta. There is more footage about Adventures of Massacre on Ankit's channel. And if you wish to check it out, I highly recommend it. And I will leave a link to Ankit's channel in the video description. But check out that block damage, because Act 8 does have some very, very interesting notes. Right. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about